False Start, a college football podcast for everyone and everyone else. I'm your host, John Buhler, lead writer, fansided.com. I'm joined today by the greatest Irish R&B singer of all time, the man who only makes sexy hamburgers, and the one and only organ donor from Hawaii, Cody Fogle McLovin Williams, content director, fansided.com. McLovin, what's up? Happy belated birthday.
Thanks, man. Funny thing about my back. No, I'm doing really good today. I'm doing really good today. Feeling good to be 34. Happy to be here. Happy to be doing a super bad episode. It's a real treat for all of us.
Yeah, we picked the Superbad themed episode today because it's like what, 2 weeks out before the end of the school year. That's kind of when
Oh yeah.
Superbad's set. And if you ask anybody of our generation, what's the quintessential of comedy? It's this.
Oh
Nothing
yeah.
else relates. Everything other than seeing a guy get smacked in the face by a nightstick with a skillet. I mean, everything else happened in my high school.
No, 100%. Like there's it's definitely like a certain sect. Like if you were, I would say like 15 to 25 and you saw this movie when it came out, like it is like a critical text in your life. Like we've all been in a lot of these situations. We all have the bromances that you don't want to leave behind, but it's a beautiful movie with that'll just it makes me laugh every single time. Like it's one of those that never like it ages beautifully while it also ages quite poorly in terms of political correctness.
The dialogue is a lot of censored stuff where we can only really say the words mother and whole, but gangstas, what's
That's
up? We've obviously false started. This is our first and 15. You don't have the technology or the steady hands to pull off a procedure like that. So, where's the money, Lebowski? UCF is really going to give Scott Frost a 5-year, $22.1 million deal after the unmitigated disaster that was Nebraska. Again, you're much higher on this higher than I am, but the money finally came out and we've got some thoughts.
Yeah, I'm high on the higher in theory. I am not high on making this kind of financial like commitment. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Financial commitment to someone who basically since the last time he was at your program, which has been a minute now, things have changed quite substantially. You're no longer a G5. You're now in a Power Four conference. Like things have changed substantially, and that's the last time we saw Scott Frost do anything remotely related to success. We watched him, frankly, set Nebraska back from where they were heading when they tried to hire him. Like no progress was made. Matt Rule had to basically start from where Scott Frost started from, if not further behind, because the Scott Frost homecoming worked out so poorly. Now he's doing another homecoming. And again, I do think he knows how to succeed at UCF. I just don't think it's a guarantee. Like I'm like just with any coaching hire, like I can like the hire. It's not there are very few cases where I think it's guaranteed to work. This is again one of those cases where it's not guaranteed to work. And you're making a pretty hefty like financial commitment to basically say, yeah, we're guaranteeing it's going to work.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here. You're right, though. This is a very firm and strong commitment. Yes, UCF is a public school with a lot of students. The boosters are, and the alumni base is growing considerably, and he's had tremendous success here. But you're absolutely right. This was at the G5 level versus the Power Four.
Yeah.
He really struggled in the Power Four, and in my estimation, I think it's a little bit easier to win in the Big Ten with the soft tummy there versus the there's no separation from top to bottom for the most part in the Big
The
12.
homogenous blend that is the Big 12.
And then you look at the teams who have moved into the Big 12 from the G5, like UCF's really struggled with it for reasons that you and I like agreed. It's like this is like West Virginia all over again.
Mhm.
They're so far away from the rest of their teams. Like Florida's not touching any other teams in the region, and the advantages they had are no longer there. I understand you got to do 5 years. Maybe you don't. I mean, you're only paying him about 4 million a year, which seems fair. But who else is hiring this guy?
Yeah, no, like what why did you have to pay him 4 million? Like what other job offers did Scott Frost have? Like that's where I'm coming down on this. Like it feels like you're paying you're paying a premium when you didn't have to. It's like walking into a car dealership and being like, "Hey, I would like this car for $25,000. Sir, the MSRP is only 21,000. I said $25,000."
If it's 7250, they could drive it off a lot here. But it's like Ryan Reynolds is the doctor and Harold and Kumar. He's like, but why?
Exactly.
I mean, we're giving what, oh, well over 4 million a year for to essentially watch Steven Glansberg eat dessert.
That's right. By the end of his tenure in Nebraska, Scott Frost was definitely Steven Glansberg in the Nebraska football cafeteria.
Yeah, nobody wants you. Nobody wants you around. Def Leppard sucks. This is gonna be a great episode, but this feels very. I mean, the reason I was not a fan of this hire initially is like, when is it ever good to go reach back into one's past like this?
Mhm.
Like you're hoping for what? That it's Tony La Russa White Sox, which in retrospect is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, given where the White Sox now, they probably take the total of the Russo White Sox again.
But like, is it going to be Joe Gibbs the second time through with Washington? I mean, you're hoping it could be Bill Snyder 2.0 because Ron Prince didn't know what he was doing. But like, this is I don't really always feel like you can never go back in time and
Mhm.
recreate what happened because so many dynamics have changed. I can't go back to Walton High School and think that it's going to be like super bad again, mostly because I don't wear cargo shorts and I have long hair and a beard now and I can run for president. But
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, minor details that, and minor being a keyword there, why you're not going back to Walton High School. But also like I look at this and I'm like, you raise a good point. Like when this type of like move does succeed, like going back, like I think you have to do it knowing that there's a finite like level to like how much you're going to succeed. Like had Matt Brown come back to North Carolina for 3 years and rebuilt the program, we'd have been in a really good spot. However, he overstayed his welcome because North Carolina got complacent. And with a 5 year deal, it seems like they're already setting up to like, even if you don't get to that high level, like as long as you get us back to somewhat relevance, like winning 8 games a season, like that'll be fine. That's not fine enough. You should be pushing for more if you're UCF. And like the same thing, like we have similar questions, although I'm probably even more optimistic on this one, but like Rich Rod going back to West Virginia, like I think that that's a situation where they both realized like that's just a different situation than Scott Frost, in my opinion. Like Rich Rod went to Michigan and failed, but he succeeded everywhere else. Scott Frost has done nothing but fail outside of the UCF job. Like that's a very key thing. And just like Mac Brown obviously had immense success at Texas for a long time. So like Scott Frost doesn't even have the track record of these guys of the few success stories that you can point to.
I totally forgot that, like, yeah, I had been dealing with this with North Carolina. It's like you had the really high highs in the late 90s with Mac Brown, and then you got like pretty good highs here, but it's like a roller coaster. The gravity is going to win. You're not going to go as
Yeah.
high up the second hill. It just that's I don't know, physics. I mean, apparently they learned that at Clark County High School, or wherever the hell they went to school.
That's
They didn't
right.
learn they didn't learn anything in that school. It was like they learned about like improper they learned about imaginary numbers, home ec, PE, and wood shop. They didn't learn, and they're going to Harvard or Dartmouth apparently.
That's right. He looks like he's having the best time of his life.
uh, I don't want to make this tiramisu. Your class is BS. But that's um,
Excuse my language.
well, Jules' partner is here. You want to go work with her? I can make that work. I'll give home ec a shot. Another shot.
God, it's such a good movie.
You could have, I mean, at that point when this came out in like oh 07, oh 08, like you could have told me that like Jonah Hill and Emma Stone would be this massive.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Like I thought that like this was the last time I was ever gonna see them. But hey, good for them.
I was just like, oh my God, it's Seth Rogen and Michael Cera from Arrested Development.
Really. God, and let's just talk about how Seth Rogen and Bill Hader might be the best part of the movie. I met my ex-wife in a place like this.
So I always take a car to a bar, called a bar.
Oh my.
Yeah, they I can't really say much else from what they said,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we gotta support our friends like McLovin, not take away from our friends.
That's right.
Like guess like the last thing I've kind of got with the Scott Frost thing here is, you mentioned it with Rich Rodriguez. The dynamic has changed for West Virginia. It's more similar to what the old Big East was with like, yeah, you've got like essentially Big East schools and like what Cincinnati,
Mhm.
Houston, of that level. Plus you've got it's a different Big 12 than what
Right.
Dana Holgerson had to navigate, and Bill Stewart after him. I don't think Bill Stewart was there. Dana Holgerson, yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Neil Brown, who didn't do a good job of that. But it's a different dynamic for Scott Frost here. It kind of feels very similar to Luke Fickell in some ways.
Some ways, yeah, and I don't disagree with that. And like again, I'm still probably more optimistic on the hire just in terms of what it could be, but like seeing the financial figures, it just like I said, it feels like you're paying a premium when like it had wholesale price on it. Like I just don't understand it.
I don't either, man. I kind of had this problem. It's not that deal. Something like 8% of kids do it. Let's inject some Big Ten energy into our veins. Jim Knowles explained why he left Ohio State for Penn State. He had the self-awareness of anybody named Russell. I bet you his middle name is Russell.
For sure. I forgot that he put a percentage on the on his prop.
Yeah, yeah, just
Something like 8% of kids.
I know. I literally just went through IMDb and clipped out what I could. Couldn't add another word more.
No, not at all.
No, but Seth was an artist, and so is Jim Knowles on
That's
defense.
right. Yes, absolutely.
Uh, the bit that or the feature that Heather Dinich put forth for ESPN was revealing and great, and it was there's a lot I had to unpack there. I wrote this for fanside.com. Like number one, Jim Knowles called Penn State. We
Hmm.
kind of thought that might be the case, but that's proven to be true. James Franklin was utterly shocked that he was interested. And then there was just this big hullabaloo about Jim Knowles not being able to go to the parade, not getting a deal before the national championship. Obviously, Ohio State's at fault with this a lot for kind
Hmm.
of leaving him out to dry, but like a lot came together very quickly with this. Like if they would have lost Tennessee, the whole staff was fired anyway. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, it's a defensive coordinator. Are you going to really deny 3.1 million?
No, absolutely not. And like, frankly, like I wasn't shocked by a lot that was said. More, the only thing I was probably shocked about was just like how fractured it seemed the relationship between Knowles and Ohio State was. Like, quite frankly, like in terms of how things played out, like it definitely seemed like that doesn't happen unless Knowles calls like it doesn't seem like a James Franklin move to try to poach a rival, like to like think it was even possible for him to poach Ohio State's defensive coordinator, quite frankly. Like James Franklin comes out of this being like, look, man, he came to me. I don't know what you want from me. Like hands up, like I'm innocent here. And Jim Knowles, like, yeah, like there is definitely like a little bit of a lack of self-awareness here, but at the same time, like Ohio State does not come out of this looking like they handled much of this well at all.
No, not at all. Because like, so Matt Patricia replaced him. I think I'm a little more optimistic than you that that might work out. Um, but there is also a lot of other stuff. I don't think anybody saw Tom Allen leaving Penn State after a year for a lateral move to go to Clemson to replace
Yeah.
Wes Goodwin. And then at the same time, Al Golden got poached essentially to go from Notre Dame to the Bengals. So you've got Penn State looking for a defensive coordinator, Notre Dame looking for it, and Ohio State's like they're all kind of in the same geographical footprint of trying to
Yeah.
make this work. So the timing of it all could not be worse. Also, I think the other thing is Jim Knowles is like his career path's been interesting. Like he played at Cornell. He was the Cornell Big Red head coach. I chew Big Red.
That's the big red bear.
But I think when it doesn't work out at your alma mater and you're fired or like let go, y- you're kind of there's nothing left to lose. You're kind of fearless.
Hmm.
And like since then, he's worked at like Duke for Ted Roof. He's worked at Oklahoma State for Mike Gundy. He's worked at Ohio State for Ryan Day. Now James Franklin. He's just like, I'm just hopping around. He's like, I'm not dealing with your BS.
No, and like I honestly wonder now, and I don't like, I don't want to say this is going to happen. Maybe he's at Penn State for a long time because it does seem like he doesn't really have much of an interest in like head coaching jobs at this point. Like it seems like he wants to be a defensive coordinator, but with his path over the past 5 years at this point, I do wonder if he's almost going to be like a coordinator version of a hired gun at this point. Like a big program has like wants to, fill a hole in the defense or whatever. But I do like, I wonder if, let's say things go south with the Michigan defense. Like, does Michigan be like, hey, here's $5 million, come play for Michigan? Like, is he just a hired gun now? Like, that could be a really interesting dynamic. Because, I mean, frankly, he might be worth it based off what we've seen from his defense.
We actually have this on the offensive side of the ball, and that was my former OC, Todd Monken.
True.
This is
Very true.
this is his third year at in Baltimore. The fact he's not a head coach right now, the fact that the Jaguars, Browns, or Bears didn't hire him was like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, I don't even know what NFL team's looking to probably move on from their head coach this upcoming year, but like, there's somebody out there. Oh, the Giants, and I don't think the
Yeah.
Giants are going to be any good. Like, this guy's ready for it. And again, they've kind of taken different paths. They've not really been anywhere more than like 3 or 4 years. Like, they're job hopping more than Jim Harbaugh.
They are indeed. And like, but I mean, like, if we're just talking about it, like, no matter how this plays out, it's still a huge win for Penn State. Like, I don't care how Jim Knowles comes looking out of this. I don't care how James Franklin comes out looking good, but like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, Penn State somehow upgraded from Manny Diaz and Tom Allen. Like, think about that.
It's
Like, that's a
unbelievable.
that's a wild world to be living in. Like, they lost two of the best defensive minds in college football, and they replaced them with someone better. Like, how is that possible?
And Brent Pry was pretty good
Yeah, oh
too.
God, yeah. Like, what are we doing?
I'm just not going to say that because there was a whole scandal involving a defensive coordinator with Penn State. But yeah,
We're not going to go too far back. We're staying recent history.
no, we're not going back to when we were in high school or college. We're going back to just a couple of years
Yeah, yeah.
ago. Um, I was thinking about this with Penn State. Like, as I was writing about this, and I'm like, yes, Jim Knowles is like, I don't care. I'm going. They don't want me at the parade. They can kiss my ass. Like, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's like you're not invited to my graduation party. I think we're probably the same belief. There's four teams, and we have as locks to make the college football playoff. It's the same for Ohio State, Penn State out of the Big Ten, Texas out of the SEC, and Clemson out of the ACC.
Hmm.
The more I sit here, I'm kind of thinking like, am I really that stupid to think it might be Penn State versus Clemson in a national championship? Because Jim Knowles is like a huge difference maker for me.
Yeah, no, and that'd be fascinating because then you'd have Tom Allen working against Andy Kotonuki, who he
Right.
matched up against all last season in practice. So like, would be a fascinating matchup. And I don't think like I'm sure ESPN is hoping that's not the case because like they're two big programs, but it's not Ohio State, it's not Georgia, it's not Texas. Like in terms of fan base and like notoriety on a marketability level, not the same thing. But I
No.
definitely think that we're like that is a very likely possibility because right now I'm looking across the college football landscape and given the unknown factor of Arch Manning, like there's a chance Texas, asserts themselves in that way if Arch Manning is as advertised. But like right now, looking at what I know about teams in college football and what I know is like Penn State and Clemson probably return the most like consistent talent and like they look like the two best teams in college football right now.
Yeah, the Katie Klubnik and Drew Aller component. It's a more well-known commodity. It may not be as high of a ceiling as what we could see with Arch Manning, Julian Sand, and Gunnar Stockton just running
That's right. Dude,
fastest kid alive.
I was thinking about Gunnar Stockton and I mean it's obvious why I thought this, but like he sounds like an Oklahoma State quarterback. Like that's what Gunnar Stockton's name sounds like. That sounds like someone Mike Gundy like never actually like scouted at all, but was like that's a guy who fits this program.
It's like you're basically applying his son Gunnar and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's the same guy.
I remember like Brandon Weed would always go on like the Doug Gottlieb show and talk to fellow Poke about Okie Poke about whatever it was, and Brandon Weed would always give like good insight. He's like, "Man, I just got done off the golf course. I'm gonna go eat two pork chops."
That's right.
That
Man's
man's
man.
the man's man. What a legend. Made it to AAA with the Yankees and
Hey, yeah.
got drafted in the first round. Had a little bit of success like in the NFL.
Yeah.
Great college player.
Great college. I brought up Brandon Whedon in a conversation with a buddy the other day just because I'm sure you saw this after the draft, but Tyler Shuck is the
Yes.
last player born before the 2000s that's probably ever going to be drafted. And I was like, nah, we need a Brandon Whedon type, someone who went and tried to play minor league ball, didn't make it, comes back to school at like 26, 27 years old. Like, we need that right now just for my mental health.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like everyone's like, Tyler Shuck's gonna be the next Brandon Whedon. I'm like, nah.
No, we've seen enough of Tyler Shuck to confirm. Nah.
Yeah, that's not happening. And when people look at Tyler Shuck, they don't say he's a freak. He's the fastest kid alive. Always be Cruton. Georgia landed five-star quarterback Jared Curtis out of Nashville over Oregon. This is good for the Dogs, and this is more of the bad same for Dan Lanning. I was pleasantly surprised that he picked Georgia. A
Yeah.
lot of people with two in their birth year are very impressionable and buy into the crap that is Oregon, but I don't.
No, 100%. I like I buy into Oregon of some degree, but like definitely not as full bore as some people. Like even going into the college football playoff last year, like we were still curious about Oregon. You know what I mean? We still didn't like they look obviously they had the resume of the best team in the country, but we were like still got to run through this playoff and we've seen Oregon kind of, piss down their leg in those situations before. I'm very interested about Curtis choosing Georgia though because I believe our colleague Winston Wilcox wrote this, but this is the first 5-star from the 24/7 Sports composite to be clear, but first 5-star quarterback since Justin Fields that Georgia has landed and gotten a commitment from. And when you like Brock Vandagriff was close, I think he was 34th in the 24/7 composite in his year. But in terms of true 5-stars, this is the first one that Georgia has gotten a commitment from since Fields 7 years ago. And I'm looking at this and we all know what happened with Fields. He did not like really play at Georgia. Like
No.
he ended up at Ohio State, and that's where his college football career is remembered for. And my curiosity with Georgia is if they've learned a lesson from that, or if they're just going to still kind of do what they've done under Kirby Smart, which is go with familiarity, go and not go with like the high ceiling move. And that's what interests me about this.
Well, I mean, it's a different dichotomy. You could play the side of the coin. Like obviously, Winston pulls for Oregon, and I pull for
Yeah,
Georgia. So yeah, there's some of that with Oregon. It's like they're only going to get transfers. Like,
right.
and I feel like that's become an issue with Georgia. Like again, Justin Fields, I've kind of been out on him since then. Like he's just carving up a bunch of me's and you's in Cobb County,
Yeah.
Georgia. I mean, level of comp's okay. Again, I don't know the level of comp that Curtis is going up there in Nashville. It may be Christian private school stuff, so who knows how great that is. But like he's the first number one overall recruit Georgia's landed since Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
That guy started for 2.5 years.
Right. Which makes me optimistic, to be clear. I'm just posing the question, but like
Right,
I
right.
do think that like he's a high enough level player to like he's the guy you hand the keys to, frankly, whenever he arrives on campus.
And for the most part, I mean, maybe outside of what JT Daniels, like pretty much everybody who's played quarterback under Kirby Smart and Mark Richt has kind of been like recruited out of high school there for the most part. We
Yeah.
tried with Jamie Newman. We brought in Jaden Rashada.
I forgot about the Jamie Newman era. That offseason hype train was off the chart.
I wonder what he's doing now. I bet
It's definitely not playing football, I can assure you of that.
nah, he's probably like at the party like Clark is. And
Yeah.
what's the guy's name? It's like it's the other guy with Michael Cera, Clark something. He was in like
Um, Clark,
Greek or something. That guy.
Clark Duke, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's just like, oh hell yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
thanks for pulling that one out, man. That was impressive.
I'm here for you. I think I know that because he was like really big in the fantasy football space for a minute there, and
Mhm.
like he was doing a bunch of interviews on fantasy football podcasts that I listened to.
We all consume things differently, but I don't know. Georgia was bound to get something like this. I got to look into him and see if he's a decent person because I kind of overlooked the whole the Dylan Raiola thing. I'm like, oh, you're just an impressionable sad boy with who's never been bullied once in his life and has the social awareness and the social skills of a serial killer.
So I will say that like Winston actually our colleague in Winston he he does root for Oregon, but at the same time he also worked in at a paper in Memphis, and so
Yes,
he was actually familiar with Jared Curtis because in the eastern part of Tennessee, like he was aware of Curtis when Curtis was like a freshman or a sophomore, and so
right.
like he had heard the name and he was like, man, it's crazy to see him be like rise to this star level. So like in terms of, like, just comparing him to Raiola, he's still in Nashville, so he hasn't moved. He's been in the same spot this whole time. So I mean, that's plus one in that category. He's not school hopping like our boy Bear Alexander and Dylan Raiola out here.
I know it's like Jinko and Morton Schmidt just moving around a
That's
bunch.
right.
Oh man, Jonah Hill, just what a person.
What a guy.
But yeah, I think the fact that Curtis has been in Nashville, it's kind of like what Trevor Lawrence being in Cartersville,
Mhm.
Georgia, the whole time. I don't know. It's like it's amazing, like why like people just like to move a bunch, you know. I don't get it.
Like it, and to some degree, which I mean, it's still a factor when you're considering like the off-field stuff in terms of recruiting, but like these kids get blamed for their parents. Like that's truly what happens in a lot of these cases. Like in Raiola's case, I don't think it was necessarily that with Raiola, but like in a lot of
No.
cases, like it's AAU parents, travel ball parents that you've seen in baseball. I'm sure it's like, oh, we've got to get you to a better school so you can get more notice. And it's like maybe your kid's just not that good. Like maybe that's why you're trying to change schools. Like that's what happens in travel ball a lot. These kids are obviously very good if they're moving around a lot, but at the same time, like it doesn't it doesn't behoove you because when you get to the college level, like yes, you have the transfer portal at your disposal, but at the same time, there's a reason that we look at teams like Ohio State last year. A lot of those guys stuck around and like made sure to like build a camaraderie, build a team together. And like there's a reason it took Will Howard a few weeks to like kind of coalesce into that, but like everything else was still clicking for Ohio State. Like there's still value to staying at the right program and like building that camaraderie, and that starts at the high school level, learning that skill.
Well, I think a lot of these quarterbacks too, even Will Howard, like they've had players who have been around that have pushed him. Like he was there, end of Skylar Thompson, who's pretty good at K-State.
Yeah.
Avery Johnson comes in. I'm sure that made him a better player, made him a fourth round caliber pick for the Steelers.
Yeah.
I'm sure Lincoln Kienholt staying, even if it works out for him or not, Ohio State will help him have success in college football before that's done. It's
Oh
why
yeah.
I'm bullish on Steve Angeli going to Syracuse.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Steve Angeli, Jonte Cook, let's go, Orange man.
Dude, Fran Brown's just out here cooking. Like I don't know what he's cooking, but he's cooking.
I was going to ask you about this. So we got the Aflac kickoff game, one of the two. You've got I forget who South Carolina plays, but Tennessee Syracuse is
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
Um, for a while there, I'm like, oh, Tennessee's going to win this. I think it's Syracuse now.
It might be Syracuse, dude. And that I mean that's gonna be a fun night on Vol Twitter. I might have to ingratiate myself in there that night.
I'm going to be 4 miles away from Joey Aguilar versus Steve Angeli.
What a world we're living in. That's the matchup Affleck was looking for sure.
I mean, it beats Desmond Ritter versus Andy Dalton, but this is false.
That's right.
Keep that roof closed. We don't want to smell what's going on in there.
God no. God no.
But I guess tie a bow on this. So Curtis, Georgia getting Curtis is a good thing, but
Oh
for
yeah.
Dan Lanning, this is kind of like the third or fourth guy he's missed on, and he's starting to feel a little bit of pressure there in Eugene.
I think so, but also I think this is why they went out and got a Dante Moore. Because sure, it is a transfer, and I understand that, but it's also a transfer that's not a 1 or 2 year rental. Like Dante Moore's probably going to be there for 2 years minimum and play and start for them for 2 years minimum. So like it does give you a little bit of grace in that capacity. Like you have if Dante Moore does work out, which I have no reason to believe not, because you look at what Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel have done at Oregon, it worked out pretty damn well. Like it's a pretty friendly offense to your quarterback. And so you look at this and I do think Dante Moore is kind of could potentially be like the stabilizing factor for the quarterback position because it gives them leeway where they're not having to hit the transfer portal every single year to go get a new guy. But at the same time, like it's something worth monitoring at this point when it comes to landing.
100%. But like this is the third best team in the Big Ten right now.
Mhm.
Like I have them in the same cluster of teams in the country with Georgia, Notre Dame. Maybe Arizona State's kind of right there too. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm missing another team. I don't know if South Carolina's quite there, but
Yeah, they're,
like,
they're probably a tier above South Carolina. In the national eyes, not in my eyes. South Carolina's tier
no.
one, baby.
Uh, it's uh it's 10:33.
That's right.
Actually, it's 10:18, but I just want to get that in there before I forgot. Uh,
Oh,
and I told Cody and Dan Lanning what time it was.
that's right.
And Dan Lanning's got a bunch of kids. They're all the kids jumping in the pool. They're all named like Tolton and Trident or some stupid thing. And I asked him like, why is the son's name Trident? He's like, yeah, it was between that or Muhammad. I'm trying, Jennifer.
It's between that or Muhammad, man.
Sherrone Moore is going to be suspended for 2 games this season for his role for deleting a 52 message text thread with Connor Stallions. It's going to be weeks 3 and 4. It's
Yeah.
self-imposed by Michigan, so he's going to be there for the season opener versus the New Mexico Lobos, and then he's going to go out on the road at his alma mater of Oklahoma, and then he will be sitting out home versus Central Michigan, the Central
Mhm.
Michigan Chippewas, and then the Big Ten opener versus the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
The disrespect to Nebraska is hilarious.
It is, and Chris Landers pitched this to me. He's like, "Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to come out of this happy. I mean, it's like it's going to get tie or kissing your cousin. Like nobody wins."
Yeah, no. This is a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. Michigan's going to be pissed and say Michigan fans are going to be pissed and say that there shouldn't have been a suspension if Michigan loses this game. Nebraska's going to be like, "Oh God, what have we done? Matt Rule can't even beat Michigan without their head coach and probably a freshman quarterback." Like, it's not, no one's going to win in this situation. But I do think at the end of the day, like we knew something was coming with Sherrone Moore. Like there was going to be penalties, and like I guess the question now is like, is the self-imposed penalty enough? Like, you know what I mean? Like he obviously like the NCAA is still investigating this. I do wonder what penalties are still to come.
It's always something with this team.
It
It's
really is.
like the Matt Weiss stuff is frightening, and didn't obviously
Mhm.
talk about that. That's just some invasion of privacy.
F that guy. That's all we got to say
Yeah.
about that.
100%. I mean, that's the guy that got a nightstick to his face with his skeleton.
Good. Good.
I think that guy's name was Jesse, but that's okay. Uh,
Jesse Minter. It's the Jesse
Jesse,
Minter stand.
I got to sidetrack us here for a bit. This something happened, came up in the Bueller household.
Okay, hit me.
Okay, so the Arizona State podcast does a lot of like, well, she works at the cute store, and then she also does a lot of like beauty and skincare stuff as like an ambassador. And they were handing out trips. It's like, oh, you want guys want to go on a trip to Miami? And she thought that she was going to go, and the founder says, "Oh, you're definitely going." He's like, "Well, I got an email saying that I'm not." And on like a real time TikTok, she's like, so it was some combination of Shane Brainerd and Sean Brumner and Jesse Palmer handing out the wrong rose to the wrong girl. Handing out the wrong rose to not Rose. Yeah, that's
Who among us hasn't been there?
yeah. Gotta watch Orange County here at some point too.
What a great movie.
Makes you really think less about Stanford, but that's
Oh,
neither here.
100%. That's why,
Um,
that's why we've always been so hard on the program is Orange County.
I know. The fact that they tried to make you believe that Colin Hanks was like a surf bum. Like, I don't see this at all. This is a guy that wears a sweater vest to class
Oh, 100%. He's in the front row for sure.
in a straight jacket.
That's
Played by Kevin Kline, the guy who played Ulysses S. Grant, and that
right.
guy.
Wild, Wild West. Yes.
Oh
Oh
my.
God.
But yeah, like I think the self-imposed thing by Michigan. Again, I guess what Sherrone Moore got a burger suspension for East Carolina,
Hmm.
and then he coached one of the first 3 games for Harbaugh, and then the last 3. It's just like this is nobody. This doesn't happen to anybody else. This is why it's Michigan versus everybody else, and it's just like We all know the guillotine's gonna drop at some point.
I don't think we've properly appreciated the burger suspensions and how weird that was because like
Yes.
it was just like pick and choosing games where different coaches were suspended. Like that's a very weird thing that does not have like what that we've never seen that before. It's such a weird thing. And like just like this, like I understand it is a self-imposed suspension, so like I understand why it's happening this way, but like let's be real. It's weird that like he's suspended for weeks 3 and 4. Why are we not just starting the season out with like I just don't like it doesn't compute with me. This is the weirdest thing in the world.
The burger suspension. It's like, okay, Jim Harbaugh is suspended for 3 games. We're gonna have Jesse Minter, Sherrone Moore, and my son Jay Harbaugh filling in as the interim. So the coordinator, all 3 coordinators of note doing this. And then somehow I think Jesse Minter's dad, not dad, dad, Rick Minter is in some sort of elevated role throughout all this. It's just like, I feel like I'm drinking High Lifes out of a bottle of Tide.
100%.
On a bus. McMuffin.
McMuffin. You got to keep the gold slit vodka, man. You got to keep a good grip on it.
Gotta get some Kyle's Cure Lemonade too.
That's right.
Oh my God. I just think back to being like 17 or 18, like thinking you can get stuff. It's like how cool you feel. And now you just feel like a loser. Like I'm buying all this. Like I'm spending $400 on groceries. What am I doing with my life?
When you were in college, was there ever like more of a Halloween costume that like got like a party like really hyped up than someone doing like a perfect Seth? Like walking in with the Tide jug full of alcohol and having the 70s get up of your dad's clothes in there. Like nothing got me more hyped than seeing someone who like actually like pulled off the costume like perfectly.
I mean, I dressed as Slash one time, but that was or Mr. McGiblets. I've done those too. We'll do the league episode at some point too. I have finished that and
Yes.
feel bad for Dr. Andre Nozick Jr.
He has a tough hand that's dealt to him there.
He's got a great dad. It's not Andre.
That's
But yeah, like coming in there with like 70s clothes, like Seth looked really great. I think my favorite the one part of the movie that I've never laughed harder about is when he was dancing with Kevin Corrigan's fiance.
oh God. Yes, correct.
Every movie this guy plays like some sort of tough guy, like who's an enforcer, like he's an enforcer for like a loan shark or he works for the mob, but all he wants to do is hang out with his girl.
Pineapple Express, literally the exact same thing.
She can always tell. But Sherrone Moore, he would have been do you think he's more Seth Everett or McLovin?
I feel like he's definitely a McLovin, man. Like I feel like he was like it was like Harbaugh and Mentor like in the room just chopping it up and he's like, what's up, gangsta?"
He
Like
walks in.
Sherrone Moore just doesn't seem cool to me at all. Like I can't help it. He just seems very like aggressively uncool.
What are the chances that Chris Mintz-Plasse like actually knew that he was wearing a Metallica and Justice for All shirt?
There's no shot. I had no idea.
I don't know. I saw this other thing. It's like build your own like metal team, and like the very last thing for drummer is Lars Ulrich. Like you get the guy from like Dream Theater at the top, then you get Lars Ulrich in the same tier with I don't even know. Oh, the guitarist is Kirk Hammett, the lead singer is Vince Neil, and the bassist is Gene Simmons.
Oh, speaking of McLovin, and I can see Sherrone Moore doing this. Like this is Sherrone Moore behavior. But one of my favorite McLovin scenes is when like they give him the list of the alcohol that they need, and he's like he starts like getting like hivey, and he's like, "This is a lot of stuff, guys." And like I feel like that's Sherrone Moore going over the offensive game plan. Like this is a lot of stuff, guys.
That's why everything is run. He runs 6 plays just like Nivican. We'll do that obviously later with some super bad theme stuff, but like he just doesn't have any pass plays.
Yeah, no.
You know, it's got more hops in it. I've been drinking it for years, but running a power.
That's how I describe Kyle Mullings, was he's got more.
I guess to tie a bow on this part here. Um, okay, so we're pretty sure Michigan's gonna be top 25 caliber team,
Mhm.
maybe fringe playoff team. They're kind of in that same group of teams like Illinois, Alabama, Florida, Auburn. I don't know if Tennessee is there yet. Oklahoma, like they'll be interesting. We'll see what they can do. A&M.
Right.
But with these first four games, I mean, like they might lose to Oklahoma. That might be college game day.
Yeah.
And they might lose to Nebraska. What if you lose that game to Oklahoma and then you lose another game with like, I don't know, Wink Martindale as the interim?
So I was waiting for the perfect opportunity to unveil this theory about the suspension. You just gave it to me, which is I think this is a ploy to get Bryce Underwood the starting job because
Okay.
I think there's a chance that you lose to Oklahoma. Because after what we saw in the spring game, I don't think Bryce Underwood. I don't think you can rightly install Bryce Underwood as the week one starter, like just full blown. So I think you go another direction, and then I think that yeah, you're absolutely in line to like to potentially lose to Oklahoma in Norman specifically. And then, you have to go to Lincoln without Sherrone Moore. If you start 2-2, that's when you make the switch to Bryce Underwood. Like, I think that this feels a little calculated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's also like takes some of the pressure off of him. It's like, okay, you lost and you're out of it. Well, I couldn't do anything versus Nebraska. I was suspended.
Yeah, not my fault. I don't fire Wink. That's not my fault.
You're asking Wink Martindale to figure out what to do with Jaden Davis in between going with Bryce Underwood. I will make this goldfish climb a tree.
That's right.
Oh my God. I will say that this two-game suspension does make me believe that the ceiling for Michigan this year is probably about 9 wins.
Yeah, I don't. It does feel like there's not enough like wiggle room. Like I was leaving them open as kind of like a college football playoff dark horse. Like that wasn't out of the realm of possibility, but it feels like there's just a little too much going on for everything to break right for that to be the case, if that makes sense.
And in my head, I'm like, you're not beating Ohio State. I'm like, actually, you are. So never
I mean,
mind.
you are for sure. Like that's a W when you're going down the schedule at this point.
That's a W right there. Oh God, I almost like messed that up. But when I was talking to Sherrone Moore the other day, I said, I got into some schools, some pretty good ones, so I'll be fine. You're doing great, sweetie. Our penultimate topic, you brought this up. Akron will not be eligible for a bowl game because the Zips don't do school well. They also don't do football well. I explained the Arizona State podcast that their mascot's a kangaroo. They win about 3 games a year, and they're probably the worst resource program outside of Kent State and the MAC.
Yeah, I mean, like making Akron lose postseason eligibility is like, what kind of penalty is that? They're not going to the postseason. What are we talking about?
They don't do school. It's like, you know what you gotta do? You gotta go to a factory. You gotta go make some tires, brother.
Get ready to learn rubber, brother. Like that's what this is all about. But no, I mean, like it really speaks to like how under-resourced and how bad of a position the Akron football program is, and like why we like when this job opens, we're like, I don't know, man. Whatever sad sack ends up taking this job, whatever sucker ends up taking this job, because like it's a death sentence. Like it is nearly impossible to succeed at Akron in this current state. Like beyond the like even before they got a postseason like a bowl ban essentially for the academic restrictions, like it's under resourced. So like that's going to affect the academics. That's going to be something that you're fighting regardless because it's not a very difficult school to get into. And then you get in and like you get them in there and like you have to keep people in the straight and narrow, but without the special resources of tutors and whatever you've got to that these other big well-resourced institutions have. And then you throw in the fact that these players aren't that good to begin with because like you're setting yourself up when you're this under-resourced to just fail at every level. And like that's what we're seeing. Like I can make jokes that giving them a postseason ban doesn't mean anything because they're never going to make the postseason. But like that's a sad state of affairs when like I can confidently say that.
Well, we were saying the same thing too about Arizona State 2 years ago, and they were in a terrible situation. And now they're in a really great situation. It's amazing how things turn. But you're right, though. I mean, LeBron James got into Akron.
Yeah, like I mean, let's be honest. Like if a coach was going to succeed at Akron, and like I'm not saying he's the end all be all, but like Joe Moorhead was the guy who should have succeeded at Akron and didn't.
No, it's at this point like you're hoping and praying that every 10 years a Jason Taylor or a Charlie Fry emerges.
Yeah, like you just like accidentally fall into a gold mine. Like that's what you're looking for.
And like most coaches there, like these are guys that have had their stock tremendously depreciated. Like we're talking about people like Joe Moorhead as the head coach, Terry Bowden.
Yeah,
Like this is where like I think Neil Brown would go.
yeah. God help them if they hired him, bro.
But then again, like Troy is well resourced, and
Yes.
this isn't that's not the same. Like Troy, the equivalent of Troy in the MAC is probably Miami, Ohio,
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
or they're up there with like the Bowling Greens, Miami, Ohio, Ohio U,
Toledo.
Toledo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It went
and
minus the Jason Candle.
can't even
Everyone's favorite head coaching candidate.
Jason Candle. You want to come to Akron, brother? I don't
He
know.
does not, I guarantee you.
No, Toledo and Akron. I don't know if they have like a rivalry, but they should.
They absolutely should.
The Rocket and Zips. Speaking about rivalries that should exist, we have a new NHL team. It's the Utah Mammoth, not the Utah Yeti, so we're not going to have to deal with a lawsuit.
That's
But
right.
so they naturally have a rivalry with the Nashville Predators with a fictitious beast from another era.
Love it. That's what we need.
It's like the reason they're called the Predators is because when they were building Bridgestone Arena or they were renovating downtown, they found like a giant ass saber-toothed tigers in like the giant knoll on top of the Cumberland inside this parking garage. You're like, whoa.
You know, it was just some like stone construction worker, like just thinking he was hallucinating. Like, he's like, "There's no way this is happening."
Oh, and you know, some sober LDS guy found a mammoth body out there and
Oh,
salt that.
100%.
I thought it was salt and it was a mammoth.
Utah's a strange place, man. Utah's
Yeah.
good times to be had out there, but strange place nonetheless.
Truth be told, by far and away the best Real Housewives. I can actually watch that. It's great.
Okay. I can
Uh,
imagine that though. It's a different type of drama, I'm sure.
it's very very interesting. One of them's a felon now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll leave it at that. But yeah, the Akron. I think this is just adding insult to injury, quite literally. Like they got nothing. Like this is like how bad does it have to be academics? I know you probably looked at this a little bit more than me. Like what actually happened, or what's your best estimation of what happened and why they can't go to a bowl game?
So the NCAA applies, and I don't understand all of the metrics. Like I didn't dive as deep as I probably could have into it, but they apply a score, and I believe it's called the ARP score, and I think it's like the academic relative production score or something like that. And you have to stay above, I believe it's 125. And if you are 125, you get put on like probation and you have to raise your scores from that. Well, Akron actually was on probation last year because they had a 125 exactly. And their scores went down. They got a 121 now. So like now they're like, it's just getting worse. And like that, it's a pretty, like I said, it is a very, it's sad. Like at this point, you have to like if you're Akron, you have to ask yourself like, is this actually a D1 program? Truly, like that's the spot you're at if you're Akron, because like if you go to D2, D3, like you don't have to commit as many resources, and maybe you can actually run a functional program.
I know, but you've been in the MAC forever. So
I
like
know.
that's like the worst part. But like remember in Greek life at Georgia, we had to have like a certain GPA. Like if you get
Yeah,
as a chapter, I didn't help with that at all. But like
everyone else is having to pick up my slack, but
yeah, let's just say our GPA, our chapter's GPA was inverted from mine. So
hell
or the other
yes,
way around, them and me.
love it.
Love to see it. But yeah, like at some point, like unless it's just an opportunity to play football, like what are you doing? Like how much tape are you going to be able to put out there? Like the MAC consistently has, like, for lack of a better word, the worst athletes of G5 program. I mean, like we see guys like out of the Mountain West have all sorts of success in the NFL and the college game and transfer. We know stuff in the Sun Belt and Conference USA, and I'm forgetting the other one, right? Oh, the
AAC.
American.
Yeah.
Like they're basically guys that can't play at Tennessee.
Yeah, 100%. And like we saw it last year. Like we thought, after watching DeQuan Finn kind of dominate in the MAC whenever he was healthy at Toledo, and we thought he was going to be a real factor going to Baylor. He didn't even start. Like he didn't even
No.
really touch the field in a meaningful way. And like that kind of tells you everything you need to know about the athletes we're talking about in the MAC. And then you go to Akron, who is the bottom of that, the bottom of the barrel. Them and Kent State. Shouts to those two.
And that's not to say that people don't have success coming out of that MAC. I mean, mostly your edge rushers like Jason
Yeah,
Taylor, Khalil Mack, Max Crosby.
that's right.
Just go get them, boys.
The only like skill position player that I know there's more. Well, there's two that I can think of, but Antonio Brown out of Central Michigan, and then Kareem Hunt out of I believe Toledo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Toledo, obviously Ben Roethlisberger
Ben
played
Roethlisberger.
quarterback at Miami,
But okay, are
Ohio.
we calling Ben Roethlisberger an athlete? Because I would push back a little bit on that. He could sling it, but athlete is
Uh, I mean, he's just meat, beer, sex, and football. That's all he
that's
is.
right.
He was definitely the guy that Seth told Dave Franco that, he wet himself when he was 8. Nobody
People don't
forgets.
forget. People don't forget.
So before we move on to our last topic, which will be some jail in here, just some other stuff from super bad, like favorite parts, maybe just the most thing that you relate to the most as a millennial growing up in the late 2000s.
I think the thing I relate to most and is like the idea of thinking you're like you when especially like watching it now, like the idea of thinking you're smooth with women and being like just no, like notoriously like in your own way and like the most hilarious way possible, like watching it from a 30,000 foot view. Like Seth trying to interact with Emma Stone in this movie, Jules, is just like so relatable in a very painful way.
The most relatably painful thing is just the concept about like Fogel and Evan going to Dartmouth, and Seth's like, you're taking a dump the other day, and I saw the transcript, and Fogel's like, yeah, we can have the TV from up from the basement. I'm like, that is just, I feel sane in
Oh
that
yeah,
moment.
100%.
I didn't swear, did
No, no, you're good. You avoided it all. We're good to go.
What's like your favorite part though? What's your favorite part of the movie?
My honestly, my favorite part is it comes in the beginning, like literally everything that happens at the school. Like the funny thing about my back, the home ec scene, like it leaves me in tears. Like I truly like have a hard time like remembering what scene comes after when they're in the school because I'm still laughing from what happens at that point.
Just basically, my whole thing is them trying to get to the party, and then Fogel with the cut with the officers, Slater and
Slater and
Michaels, I think.
yeah, it's Michaels. It's Michaels for sure. I was about to
Yeah.
look it up, but that's 100% it.
Yeah. Bill Hader's so good.
It's incredible.
And Bill Hader was not at that party, but he would have been there from Scottsdale, and he would have said, "He's Jimmy's brother, the guy, the singer. He's the guy with the beautiful voice I was telling you about." We are hitting all the hits from Superbad for some just like Novocaine because why not?
That's right.
We got to start with Panama by Van Halen. The song was playing when they were doing donuts in the parking lot with a cop car before lighting it up.
So this is the most hyper specific I've ever gotten with a JLN, but this is Mike Gundy riding an ATV with Gator through his property, just blasting Panama.
I've got my goodie coming up a little bit later, but that's perfect. I mean, let's put it this way: there is a non-zero. percent chance that Gator was conceived of this song or conceived of this song.
Oh, 100%. Probably both, frankly.
Gundy wishes he was, but he did.
Yeah, that's right. It's actually on his official Oklahoma State bio. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But
1984 was a great year for Mike Gundy
oh yeah.
for the Midwest City Bombers. Could you imagine if they did Stranger Things, but it was set in like Stillwater, Oklahoma, or whatever he was from? It's not Stillwater, but like,
No.
and he plays Steve the Hare Harrington.
Oh my.
He would do it too. He'd be
Oh,
great.
100%. I'm still waiting for the Mike Gundy acting career. We need it.
Oh my God, yes, the buddy cop comedies.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. So for mine, the first one I've got is Josh Heupel out there cranking that in his red car, blaring some Panama, in his Letterman's jacket.
That's right.
This song was written by David Lee Roth because one journalist says you only write songs about girls partying in cars. He's like, I've never written a song about a car before.
Love it.
And then the other one would be Georgia football players because they like to drive fast.
That's right. Yeah.
They're not playing this song while they're going, but it in spirit they are.
It's this and I can't drive 55, baby.
55.
That's right.
Who loves it when you call them Big Papa with by Notorious B.I.G.
I went geographic with this one. I've got Greg Schiano at Rutgers, baby. Like I feel like he's got Rutgers as a consistent bowl team. He just walks into the State University of New Jersey and he's like, I love it when you call me Big Pop.
Hey, put your hands in the air like if you don't care. Um, I had Urban Meyer.
Enough
I,
said. Enough said.
and to be a little bit nicer, I've got Lane Kiffin. I think that this is his probably favorite song of all time.
100%.
Either that or Grapefruit Juicy Fruit by Jay Buffett.
Oh yeah. It's both, just in constant rotation.
I love it when you call me grapefruit juicy fruit.
Oh my.
Wasting away, and it was all a dream.
The
There's
mashup
somebody,
we didn't know we needed.
there's somebody out there whose two favorite artists are Biggie and Buffett. This is false.
And we respect them. We respect the hell out of them.
Well, 100%. And we respect the hell out of Michael Cera singing the Guess Who's These Eyes, the other song by the people who sing American Woman.
No, 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 no. So I went with, just these eyes cry every night for you, these arms long to hold you again. It's Josh Heupel, man. He's got to start Joey freaking Aguilar, a quarterback, brother. He's singing to Nico.
Gotta dig through the ditches and burn through the witches in the back of my Aguilar.
That's right.
My quarterback is Aguilar.
My
Um,
quarterback.
the guy that would go in there and sing and do a really good job, that'd be Eli Drinkwitz.
Oh, 100%. I've got drink coming. Don't worry.
He's like the yodeling kid named Mason who was on the Old Town Road song.
Yes, 100%.
And the guy who's says these eyes are crying, they've seen a lot of things. Who would also do a beautiful soiree or sonata of this, that'd be a Kyle Whittingham.
100%. Yes.
I also love that scene too. Like all the guys in there, they basically like Martin Starr, they all give themselves like ridiculous last names.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
Martin Starr's like baked off his ass. He goes, "Who's that guy?"
Who's that guy? Also, you mentioned Kyle Whittingham. We gotta give a shouts to our boy. First episode ever of False Start. Black Smoke Rising, Cam Rising, medically retiring. Hate to see it. Not coming back for a ninth, 10th year of college football or anything.
Brie McCoy doing the same thing
Mhm.
too.
Tough to see it.
Yeah, shout out to the people that were born in the late 1900s.
That's right. We salute you.
God bless. Moving on to our next one, let's go to "Are You Man Enough" by the Four Tops.
Oh, I'm asking this to this player. Cade Klubnik, are you man enough to actually give Clemson a national championship? Because it comes down to you, man. Like, I think this roster is absolutely good enough. Well, you finally showed some progress in the 2024 season. Are you man enough? And I bet old Dabo Sweeney's playing this for him. Like when he walks into the locker room, like, hey, question yourself. And like, he switches up the jock jams and hits him with, are you man enough?
Jock James, Motown. What's the difference?
It's all the same.
They're playing this on the bus, right? This is
Oh yeah,
McLovin's
100%.
sitting like this.
Are
Uh,
you man enough?
enough. Run six plays just like Novocaine. Are you man enough?
Are you man enough?
The two coaches that would say this are Mike Gundy and Biff Poggi.
Oh, 100%.
But if I had to
Bit
pick
Poggi in the mirror, frankly.
tattooed on his chest, are you man enough? It's a man's world.
Yes.
He's back in Michigan. Maybe he's the interim coach when
Please God, yes. That's what I need.
sleeve.
If that happens, Michigan's going 12 and 0, baby.
I know. He's over there smashing his like someone's face mask in his face, like it's Irk Russell back in the day, getting people fired up.
That's right.
Uh, St. Francis, Sans Francis Xavier poaching.
That's right.
My friends call me Biff and Gator. And speaking of another guy who would probably say, "Are you man enough?" because he hunts his own food, that'd be a stranglehold by Ted Nugent. They're at the party.
I went with Jordan Hudson for this one. Because she has a stranglehold on the North Carolina football program right now.
I actually had a feeling that you would say that. I went with Kirk Ferentz leading the Imitation Steelers.
Yes,
And in terms of a guy that's most likely to hunt his own food and play guitar in his own spare time, that's Bronco Mendenhall, School of Survival.
100%.
Yeah, me and Bronco, we've been hunting buffalo,
That's
chasing it out there. The Motor City Madman.
hell yes.
Has Ted Nugent been canceled yet?
Like 40 times, he won't go away.
I was like only a couple of days, like only a couple of days ago, I realized he doesn't sing in 80 songs. It's somebody else.
Of
It's like Kenny
course.
Wayne Shepherd. It's somebody else. Blue on black.
Love it.
100%. And we got to finish the last one with Busting Out on Funk by Rick James, bitch.
I've got two answers for this, and it's because they're walking out to the song together, just like Seth and Evan, and that's Shane Beamer and Eli Drinkwitz just busting out, ready to rock. Because if I had to pick two coaches that really embody what Superbad's all about, it's definitely Shane Beamer and Eli Drinkwitz. Like two guys who are great, like seem like they would they should absolutely get along, but like aren't actually as cool as they think they are to one another.
And that's why I had Eli Drinkwitz as Evan and Seth would be Shane Payne.
Yeah, exactly.
So who's the Fogle to them in the
Uh,
SEC?
Bogle in the SEC, that's probably Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, I was like Billy Napier, but like he frees finds a way.
That's right.
So I was gonna ask you, what scene is this song from by Rick James? Is it like they're walking out or something?
I think it's when they walk out of Evan's house when they like finally when they get like when Seth gets into Evan's dad's clothes and like they're like
Oh,
finally dressed out. I think it's when they're like walking to like go on their expedition and like when they walk up to Fogel at the grocery store. If I'm not mistaken, it's that song.
he's got his Aladdin vest on.
That's right. You look like a Latin.
So I definitely worked at a Publix. That was my first job out of high school.
Hell
First
yeah.
time in high school. I had a friend who worked at Kroger, and his first day on the job, somebody spilled like a 36 pack of like Natty Light, and it just
No.
kept shooting everywhere. It was like nom. It was like the bridge blowing up in Tropic Thunder.
I'm sure he was like the dude in the liquor store who's just like F my
F my
life.
But this guy liked to party, so he'd show up to the party too.
That's right.
Oh my God. Yeah, that guy came back he came back to like he's like, I'm just covered in alcohol right now, officer. Why is this? I just got done working at Kroger.
I don't know what to tell you.
And I do know what to tell you. This was episode 173 of False Start. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter or the X at Buhler118. You can follow Cody Williams at the Sizzle 20. You can follow the show at CFB False Start. Like, rate, listen, subscribe, review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere there's podcasts. Give us a 5-star review on Apple. It really helps the show go. It'd be super bad if you did, and super bad if you didn't. Just do it.
That's right. Yeah, we need those 5 stars, and you know, it's off-season content, and we're having a blast with it. That's why we get to do things like a super bad episode. Why the hell not, man?
I know a super bad episode. We'll have a normal episode on Monday, and then for May 15th, we're going to be on the 5:15, the train immediately after work. Going to do the Who for some JLN.
Who are we, man? Who are we?
We got to whittle it down from 20 songs because I mean, outside of Pictures of Lily, I think we can do them all.
Like legitimately, we could just do the whole episode as JLM, but we're not gonna do that.
We got to put up an eminence front with that, man. That would be crazy. Brr, da, da, da.
Yes.
Every Who song has a thing you can sing to with the music. Brr, da, 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 da.
That's actually a really good point. Like, the melodies are easily vocalized, which is a beautiful thing.
Uh, you're McLovin, right?
That's McMuffin.
McMuffin. You know, it's not about the going, it's about the coming. And this is false start.